For this review, we dig into a model in the mining sector. The machine is from Wirtgen and it's the 220 SM 3.8. There's a couple of pictures of it on the box, and it also states that this machine is a surface miner. Before we go any further, let's take a look at what the real machine is all about, and it's used for surface mining in softer materials such as coal. It's got a fearsome looking drum with very sharp picks, and the drum rotates as it goes along, breaking up the surface. And this process is called windrowing. It breaks up the surface to a depth of around 350mm, and that makes the loose material easy to shovel up. The model is made by NZG and it's model number 1036. And let's get the box straight onto the weighbridge, where it's 2 pounds 4 ounces, or just over a kilogram. So let's move on and open the box and see what's inside. As usual, there's a pair of expanded polystyrene trays, and there's an instruction sheet we'll look at in a moment. But first, to separate the trays, we need a sharp knife, and a couple of swift cutting actions allows us to lift the top tray. There's the model wrapped in soft paper, and we just need to hire in a giant hand crane to lift the model out of the box. There is a little bit of packaging to undo, and that's some cling film that's applied to the crawler tracks. It protects them during shipping, but it's a little bit frustrating to remove. There's a simple pictorial instruction sheet that tells you the main features of the model, and there's also a small bag that contains a couple of parts and some spare track links. For assembly, you can add 2 optional ballast weights, and these stop the back of the machine lifting up during mining. The 2 pieces have to be positioned exactly the right way round, or the big door won't shut properly. But once they are in correctly, the door closes easily. So with the model fully configured, it's back to the weighbridge, and it's just over 1 pound 12 ounces, or if you like the metric, 800 grams. Starting at the front, you can see the underside of some mesh grills, and the detailing of the small crawler tracks is really very good. Through an opening, you can also see up into where the engine is located, and a particularly impressive piece of modelling is the mining drum, and each of the picks is separately highlighted. Moving on towards the back, there's some pipework visible, and there are hoses for the crawler tracks. Here's one of the small tracks in close-up detail, and you can see even the drive sprocket has some detailing. Inside the big cab, you can see a driver's seat and also a trainer's seat. And on the outside of the cab, you can see the lights are modelled, and there's also a plastic mirror assembly. The side window has got nice framing, and there's also a windscreen wiper. The sides of the machine have got sharp graphics and nice decoration. And moving down to the side skirts for the mining drum, these are all metal parts. A very nice touch on the model is the flexible flaps, which are on the rear skirt at the back of the drum. Also very impressive are the large cooling fans, and these are positioned behind a very fine mesh grille. The Wirtgen name and badge is there, as are chevron graphics. On the other side of the machine are some nice details, including 2 large exhaust pipes, and they have depressions for holes. Another highlight of the detailing is that all of the handrails are made of metal, and that also includes the access stairs. On this side there's another mirror assembly, and it's made of tough plastic. Looking down from above, and you can see that there are very nice etched walkways, and there's also an impressive view of the engine. And the detailing of it is very good, and it's made up of a number of different coloured components. Looking down at the back, you can see the steering mechanism for the rear tracks. Starting with the big mining drum, and it rotates freely on its axle, and it looks like it could do some damage to your desktop. The track frames can be steered, and it is also possible to rotate the tracks, although they are quite stiff. They're certainly too stiff to be rolled by just pushing the model along. Let's look at them from a different viewpoint. And each track is mounted on a leg which is telescopic, and it can be raised and lowered. As you can also see from this angle, each track frame also pivots on its mounting, and that helps the machine go over rough terrain. On one side of the model there's also an opening panel door, and on the inside you can see a number of hydraulic hoses, so you can always carry out a bit of micro maintenance. As we've already seen, there's that big opening rear fan enclosure. To get on board with the model, there's an access stair which can be lowered, and there's also movement of the side skirts which can be lowered to prevent material being flung out from the side. The rear skirt is also adjustable, and it's a little tricky to access because you have to undo a latch, and then once that's done you can then lower the rear skirt. And here you can see it moving from a side-on view. A different way you could show the model is as a transport load, and fully configured the operational weight is around 60 tons. So you do need a decent sized heavy haulage loader, and in this case we're using our favourite giant hand crane to put the machine on board. One thing to note though is that in standard configuration this certainly is a wide load. This Wirtgen surface miner is an interesting and unusual model, and NZG has produced it to a very high quality standard. It has an excellent level of detailing, and there's a good range of functionality that makes the model interesting to look at. Overall, it is excellent.